Hi, I'm Chris Allen, and today we are going to have this free live Facebook class that's called Universal Energies. So the book, it is, so the class comes up from my brand new book. It's called Upperworld, Shamanism and Magic of the Celestial Realm. And the class is based on chapter 9. And today we're going to talk about the celestial energies that help us that help us they help us navigate through our our daily lives and our spiritual lives and things like that. I encourage everyone to ask questions, and I'll try to answer them um, as as best and quickly as I can. So let's go ahead and get started with the class, and people can join in when they choose. Also, I'm going to anyone is able to share this class. So if you want to share it to your friends or you want to share it to your page, you can feel free to do that. Let's go ahead and get started. Let me see here. All right, so the first concept I want to talk about, and again, I'm going to be, we're not going to be reading through the book, but I'm going to touch on the topics that's in chapter 9 of the book. So the very first thing I want to talk about is what we call the cosmic web. And the cosmic web is what connects us all together. Sometimes I go and in heathen spirituality. Sometimes the cosmic web is called the web of weird. And basically, all that means is that we're all connected together. Um, why is that important? Well, in one regard, that's how our spells are able to work. That's and how our healing energy is able to work is because we're all connected. Um, if you think of it like a giant spider's web, you'll see that some of the strands that overcross are very close. And on the other side of the web, some of the strands are very far away. So what that means is we have a very strong and close connection to our family and friends or co-workers and what have you. Let's say people in another country around the world or sometimes even down the block, they're a bit further down the web, so they're not as closely connected. They're still connected, but they're not closely connected. So how does that help us in our spirituality? Well, first and foremost is that there's something that we talk about. It's called the collective consciousness. Sometimes we also call the collective unconsciousness. Um, the collective consciousness, like for example, is when we're all connected through our thoughts. We're all connected through our energies in that way. So, for example, have you ever thought of something like a phrase or or had an idea, and all of a sudden you see somebody around the world has the exact same idea that you have? That's because we're all connected in the same consciousness. Um, there was a study that I read a long time ago about how, and I don't remember the type of monkey, but there was a monkey that on one side of the country these monkeys, the scientists gave the monkeys like something like a jar or something to open, like a very simple puzzle. And they watched the two monkeys, and when one of them solved the puzzle or opened the jar, or whatever it was, all of a sudden, the other monkeys, all of a sudden, they knew how to do it. They didn't have to try anymore. They just all of a sudden knew how to do it. Um, so that's um, one way how we are connected in the cosmic web. The other thing is it's how we're able to do our magic. So, for example, if I'm going to do a healing on a client or a friend or what have you, it's easier to send the magic because we are we're astrally connected. Um, the other thing is that it can both help and harm us for being astrally connected. So, what does that mean? So, if we're also connected not just to each other, but to the animals, to the trees, to the earth, to the heavens, the planets, and so forth. So, if we are abusing animals, or we're hurting the earth, or we're putting chemicals into the earth, it's going to affect us as well. Yes, it's going, if you drink polluted water, you're going to get sick. But it's even more than that. So, for example, have you noticed in your life or your friends' lives how all of a sudden we're all getting sicker, we're all having more cancer, we're all having more disease, we're brand new diseases are happening, things like that. And it seems to be corresponding with the more pollution that we put into the earth. Yeah, you could say on one hand, well, that makes sense because all the chemicals in the earth, we're consuming those things. But since we're so connected with the cosmic web, if we hurt the earth, we're hurting ourselves. If we hurt animals, we're hurting ourselves. Because that's how we, um, again, that's how we're all connected. So how do we fix this? How do we heal? How do we heal that? So because we're connected with the cosmic web, if I heal the earth, I heal myself. If I heal myself, I heal the earth. So anytime, I consider myself an activist. So anytime I can do something to stop um, to either stop or influence a company to pollute the earth and things like that. Um, the other thing is just a basic cleanup. I always say whenever you're going to do an outdoor ceremony or ritual, bring a small trash bag with you and clean up the area. And it makes the spirits happy. It makes the earth happy. It makes you happy. And at the same time, because we're trying to heal the earth, in turn, we're healing ourselves. Same thing with other people. The more you help other people because of our connection, the more you're going to help yourself. I have a thing that, and we'll talk about karma here in a second. I don't believe in helping people simply to help ourselves. I don't think anytime I help a person, anytime I do a healing, anytime I help the environment, I don't do it for a free reward. I do it because I want to help. And when we go into things with that mentality, the healing energy is better. So let's go ahead And again, for those brand new people who are just joining us, um, this is all out of my book, Upperworld, Shamanism and Magic of the um, Celestial Realm. So let's go ahead and talk about my favorite thing in the world to talk about, karma. So those of you who have ever taken a class with me in either online or in person or one of my other classes, I enjoy slaughtering sacred cows. I enjoy it. It makes me very happy, and the my favorite sacred cow to slaughter is karma. Let's slaughter the crap out of it. All right, so let's talk about karma. So karma is Sanskrit for action. That's all it means. So what is action? So if you think about it, action means going somewhere. It could mean going forward, but it also could mean coming back. So how does that help us? So karma, the universe, remember how we're all connected through the cosmic web. So karma is the universe, the gods, the higher power, whatever you want to call it. A karma is the universe trying to teach you how to spiritually evolve to be a better spiritual person, a better human being, a better person just in general. So karma does not say what comes around goes around. It does not say that at all. So this whole thing about, oh, he'll get his, karma's a bitch. If he does something bad, then something bad's is gonna happen to him. Well, that's not how karma is. It could be that, but that's not necessarily how that works. So all karma means is what the universe will create a situation or action to help you learn a spiritual lesson. So again, karma does not mean rewards and punishments. It simply means it creates an environment so that the person can learn to spiritually evolve. So for example, say I'm a bully and I hit someone. It doesn't necessarily mean that my karma is to be hit myself. It certainly could mean that, because some people, they don't understand until it happens to them. So for example, if I've ever been hit before, I won't truly have an understanding how it is if I hit someone else. However, maybe I'm surrounded by violence all the time. Maybe bullying and violence and fighting is just a way of life for me. So in that regard, if I hit a person and they hit me back, am I gonna learn anything? Well, no. It's just it just keeps the cycle going. However, maybe I see how I hurt that person. I see them bleeding. I see them with a broken bone. I see how because I hurt them, they can't drive their car and they can't go to work. Maybe karma was that realization. So maybe, and I would hope, if someone understands how they hurt someone else, they'd quit doing it. And that isn't always the case. It's a very simplistic case. I'm trying to break it down to where it's very simple. And sometimes, for almost all the time actually, karma is it's a lot more complicated than that. So what happens if we do good things? What happens if we help the homeless and we donate to charity and we protest and we save the environment? So, just like I said at the beginning, because um, you're trying to heal the earth and things like that, in turn, you'll also be healed because of the energetic connection, not by karma. In fact, I know many people who are healers and good people and do good things, and life circumstance happens. They get sick. They lose their jobs, and it, and it's hard to see that because perhaps it's happened to ourselves, perhaps it's happened to a friend of ours or a teacher or whatever. But just because you do good things doesn't mean you're going to get good in return. That's why I said at the beginning, when I do a healing, when I help the environment, I don't do it to get a reward back. I do it simply for the fact that it's the correct thing to do. It's the right thing to do. Um, the other thing is that I know in some pagan spirituality there's a threefold law and things move like that, and harm it. Um, Basically, do no harm, because if you do, whatever you send out comes back to you three times. For that isn't necessarily true, just like I said. Um, so let's talk about the C word. Let's talk about cursing and karma and what that means. So, how I was always taught in my spiritual traditions is if you need to do a curse or you need to do something that's spiritually justified, it's okay to do it. And you won't have bad things happen to you. So for example, if there's a rapist on the prowl, if I do a curse to whatever, bind him or get him captured or whatever, it's not going to come back to me at all. Because if you think about it, I'm doing something good for the community. The other thing is self-protection. If someone's doing you genuine harm, and you have to ask yourself, is it actually genuine harm? Then it is okay to curse people. It's okay to protect yourself, because there's a big difference of cursing someone because you got into an argument versus someone who is threatening you, is threatening you, um, um, your friends and family and your children. Some people protect themselves with guns, some people protect themselves through violence. And I think as the spiritual people, as witches and magicians and shamans, it's perfectly acceptable to protect yourself with energy and magic and things like that. So you're not going to have the repercussions like that. When I say genuine harm, and I think each of us should be empowered and to decide what that is for us, because I think we've all known people who have a bad temper, and it's like I'm gonna curse that person. Well, we don't. I mean, that's not a very spiritually evolved thing to do. Um, while I'm talking about this, does anyone have any questions about cursing and karma and things like that? If you do, just type it in the chat, and I'll um, try to answer the best I can. Okay, so let's go ahead and talk about a divine will. So, this is a personal favorite thing of mine to talk about the divine will. So, what is the divine will? Well, first of all, let's talk about will. What is that? It's basically your intention, your desire, your purpose. So, your divine will is your divine your divine purpose for being here on earth. So for myself, my divine will is to be a teacher, a magician, a shaman, a healer. Those of you who know me know I'm a massage therapist by day and a pagan by night. I'm just kidding. I'm a pagan all the time. Um, so your divine will. So each of us has has a divine purpose of being here. Everybody has a purpose. However, how do you find that purpose? That is the million-dollar question. I think anyone who is on a magical path, on a spiritual path, on the path of shamanism or witchcraft or magic or what have you, I think you kind of have an idea of what your divine purpose already is. For um, a bunch of us, it's to heal. It's to heal each other. It's to heal the planet. It's um, it's to help people. But I actually think, in my own personal opinion, I think that each and every person is here to help in some way. I think we have to find out what is it exactly how you're going to help. Are you going to be a healer? Are you going to be a massage therapist? Are you going to be a doctor? Or are you going to be a teacher? Well, are you going to teach children? Or are you going to teach magic and spirituality? You have to decide what your purpose is. And for some people, it's not necessarily magical. So I hear this from time to time that, oh, I have a boring job. I have a mundane job. I hate my job. I wish I can be a full-time magical person. I wish I can be a full-time healer, a full-time magician, or whatever. Who says you can't? Um, I think part of the goal, part of our practice, part of our daily routine is to find the magic in everything that we do. Um, I know some of you have heard me say that in the Lakota, we say that every step upon Mother Earth is a prayer. So you walk with power, you walk with grace. Everything is sacred because it is sacred to you. It has meaning and it has power. So if say you're a salesperson, say you sell clothing, um, there's power in going to your job. There's power in sacredness in helping out for the public because we all need help. You know, just because you don't have a traditional magical job or you're not a teacher or you don't own a magical shop doesn't mean that your job isn't magical. So we have to find the purpose. And how I tell all my students is how you find that purpose is the very first thing, what are you drawn to? Are you drawn to helping people? Are you drawn to spirituality? Are you drawn to teaching? Are you drawn to writing or things like that? Um, Perhaps you're an artist. Perhaps you help through your art. Perhaps you help um, through dance and through a theater and things like that. Um, let's see. Any other questions about things like that, about divine purpose or anything yet? Let's go ahead and talk about reincarnation. So, um, reincarnation and divine purpose and karma all kind of go hand in hand. So, in reincarnation, I'm sure we know all about it. It's about, coming back to Earth, life after life after life. And the point is, I know some people are like, oh, let's do a past life regression. Um, I think there are pros and cons to things like that about past life regressions and understanding what your past life is. Um, if you have family karma and family disease go hand in hand. So if you had some tragedy in your family or some hurt, sometimes energetically, it goes down through your children. So, like say for example, say um, every everybody on your father's side, they all have lung cancer and they weren't smokers. So usually, what that means is that there's some type of family karma that we're getting, and that's a whole other healing. But as far as a past life and reincarnation, sometimes it's good to go back through a past life and find out how did that hurt happen? How can we correct it? How can we heal? How can we heal the past and the present and the future? Um, However, like for example, I'll use myself. I know I've been here several times as a pagan, as a teacher, and things like that. Um, However, we're here in this earth, at this place, at this time, for a karmic reason. Remember, karma means to to spiritually evolve. So this life um, that we're here for, we have to do our best that we can with the circumstance that we have, so that we can learn, evolve, and grow. It doesn't do as much good if we do a past life regression and we find out, say for example, that we were a royalty. So even though that's exciting, that's interesting and kind of fascinating, it doesn't really help us right now in this life. Um, the only catch to that is if there is a skill, like say for example, say you were a carpenter, or say you were an expert hunter, an expert farmer, and um, if you do a past life regression, and you can pull the lessons or the trade that you had in the past life into this life to help you, then there is some benefit. Um, I had an acquaintance who he found out that in a past life that he was royalty. And in this life, he was always depressed all the time because he would say, oh, I'm poor and I'm not wealthy. I have an average job with an average life with an average income. And he would get so upset all the time about, I wish I can go back to my past life and be rich. I want to be rich again. I want to be wealthy. And so what he was doing is he wasn't focusing on improving his life today, like getting more education or finding a better job or so forth. What he was doing was he was essentially dreaming about a past life, about the past. And so instead of focusing his attention here, he was focusing his attention in the past. So you see how with reincarnation, there's some good things and then there's some bad things. Now that leads me into about different traditions and different ethnic backgrounds. So I don't think I talk about this in the book at all, but I want to touch about ancestral religious traditions and and things like that, because I think in this environment, in this world environment, especially here in the U.S., there's a lot of prejudice right now. There's a lot of bigotry. There's a whole lot of superiority, especially in the Caucasian white male um, conservative thing. So a lot of people are pondering and considering if, say, for example, can a white person study Egyptian magic? Can a white person study Native American spirituality? Can a person of color become a heathen? And the answer to those questions is absolutely you can. Um, in my spiritual experience and my background and my training, um, it's a strong possibility that the reason that you're drawn to it just say Strigaria because I think Strigaria is the coolest thing at all. And I'm not necessarily Italian. I've done a DNA test, and it turns out I have a little bit of Mediterranean blood, but not a lot, like a teeny bit, teeny. But anyway, um, perhaps in a past life I was a follower in Italy. Perhaps in a past life, um, I was a worshiper of Diana and things like that. So it is possible that you carry your spiritual heritage life after life after life. So that's why some of us who are not Egyptian love Egyptian spirituality. And that's why some of us who aren't, say, a German Northern European like heathenism. Um, I do know that in some groups, especially in some of the um, groups like Santeria and Ifas, some of those traditions are very skeptical of having a white person join them. And you have to remember that it does kind of make sense of why they're skeptical about that, because a lot of the because people of color have been persecuted for hundreds and hundreds of years, and then all of a sudden, white people want to join the religion. Um, in Lakota and a lot of the Native American traditions, there's this huge conversation slash a debate, if you will, uh, about non-Native people going to Sundance or having the chanupa, which is the sacred pipe. And you have to remember where they're coming from. Um, there was a genocide against Native American people. Um, the U.S. has stolen Native land and things like that. And then all of a sudden, all these white people are trying to join Native American groups. The ones I belong to, I follow a Lakota tradition, and I'm just looking up at the comments really quickly. Um, the groups I belong to, anyone can join, anyone can come to a ceremony, a sweat lodge, a vision quest, or what have you. Um, Sometimes on the reservations, they're a little bit more hesitant to allow non-native people to join. Some of that isn't because of the past per se and how they were treated. Some of it is because a lot of white people don't have the common courtesies that they should. I was told a story once how at a Sundance, um, everyone is welcome to come, and a white person came and was very intoxicated and was causing, I don't want to say trouble, but causing a ruckus. And so it disturbed the ceremony, it disturbed the sacredness of it. And part of it wasn't because the person was trying to be disrespectful. It was because the person wasn't taught how to act during ceremony. They weren't trained by a teacher or through their heritage or through their family about the do's and don'ts of what happens at a ceremony. So, in my personal opinions, then get the whole debate about do you have to only honor the spirituality of your heritage? Well, in reincarnation, I believe that you retain your spiritual teachings life after life. And if you are a devotee of, say, Hecate 2,000 years ago, then odds are you're probably going to be a devotee of Hecate now. Not always, but a lot of the times. Um, let's see here. Moving on, because I'm trying to keep a good eye on the time. Let's talk about the dark night of the soul. So, what is the dark night of the soul? So, um, let's see. I want to say a few hundred years ago to even 1,000, the dark night of the soul. It was a spiritual practice to where, excuse me, before you took the crown, or before you became a dignitary, before you got married, before you became, before you joined the army or what have you, you had a vigil. And in the vigil, you would just contemplate and meditate and think about you, think about who you are, think about your destiny, think about if this is the correct thing for you. So in our modern times, the dark night of the soul is something that happens to us energetically. So there's something that's called the EA O formula, and I talk about this extensively in the book. The EO formula, um, the I is for Isis, and she's the earth mother. She's the caretaker. So I always think of it like a seed. So, for example, the earth mother takes our spirit and plants us. She puts us in the earth. She loves us. She pours water on us to help us grow. So Isis, the the E formula, she takes care of us. And then we transition to the O. I'm sorry, the Ah. So the Ah stands for Apophis. In Apophis, in Egyptian mythology, he's a destroyer. Um, he's the one who does battle and tries to break us down. So if we go back to the seed metaphor, the mother, so Isis, she withdraws. She's still there, but she's no longer taking care of us. So the off formula aspect, the destroyer. So we have to like break free from this seed and grow. And we're in the earth, and it's dark, and we have to push and struggle all the way up to the surface. And then the O, EIO. So the O is Osiris. So he's the resurrected God. So if we go back to the plant and the seed metaphor, so Isis, the mother, planted us. She took care of us. Then she withdraws. The O, she we burst from this seed and struggle through the earth, and the Ah, and then the O, Osiris, resurrection, where the plant that grows, it becomes a flower. So we have to have all these things to to survive to survive spiritually. So we have to be taken care of. Then we have to have the darkness. We have to have the dark night of the soul, so that we can grow and become the flower. So I wanted, so I gave you that metaphor so you would be on my thought train about the dark night of the soul. So a lot of times, we have quote unquote bad things that happen to us. We lose our jobs. We break up in our relationships. We have death around us, meaning we have family and friends who pass away and die. And it seems pretty bleak. It seems it seems dark. Um, and so what happens is, even though it feels like we're having a bad time in our life, um, we're actually growing spiritually. We're getting stronger. Our divine will, we're finding our purpose. So whenever you have like bad things that happen to us, it's not really, and you have to remember, going back to karma, karma does not punish. Karma does not. Karma only karma only seeks to teach us. So whenever we're having some bad things in our life, we have to remember we're growing, we're evolving. It doesn't feel like that at the time, but we're growing, we're evolving, we're doing the best that we can. And remember, You're going to make mistakes. You're going to screw up. You're going to say the wrong thing. You're going to get yourself into trouble by whatever. I don't mean like a go to jail trouble. I'm mean like you're going to say something silly or you're going to do something you're not supposed for to do and upset your family and your friends. But what's happening? You're changing inside. You're becoming better. You're becoming different. You're becoming more spiritually evolved. Um, I remember when I became ordained as a minister for the Fellowship of the Phoenix. I was on top of the world. I had a great job. I just became ordained. I was so happy. And then a few months after that, I got laid off. I didn't have a successful relationship. I was broke. I was miserable. And I kept thinking, well, where are the gods? Where are the spirits that I pledged myself to? And it took me a while to understand that during my training, I was being I was being taken care of. So Isis, the gods and the spirits, and during all my training, they were planting me. They were watering me. Um, and then I lost my job, and I wasn't able to afford to be so so social. So some of my friends who I thought were close kind of drifted away. But um, after some introspection and some meditation and daily spiritual practice, I realized the job that I had that I got laid off from, it was a hard job. It was energetically sucking the life out of me. I wasn't happy. I thought I was happy, but I wasn't doing my divine purpose. Um, and so when I was when I was laid off trying to find a new job and say, hey, how do I incorporate my spirituality into my career going forward? Well, I became a massage therapist. I went back to school. And because of that, I was able to take classes to become a Reiki master. I became a massage therapist. I met my Native American teacher, Billy Topatate. I met her because she was teaching Reiki classes. So that's how I met her. And then all of a sudden, I was going into um, my my O phase. So I had lost everything, but I also gained something. You know the tower card that we're so afraid of in tarot. You know when you see the you see you see the tower and you think, oh my God, destruction, chaos. I'm gonna hate it. Remember what the meaning of the a tower card is. It destroys structure, the old structure that no longer has a purpose, so that the land can be fresh, can be new for something better to grow. So the tower is a good thing. So the dark night of the soul is a good thing. At the time when we're going through it, it does not feel like a good thing at all. It feels horrible because whatever happened, if we lose our job or a divorce or whatever, it's hard. But our spirits are being tempered. Our spirits are spiritually evolving and growing and things like that. Um, and again, guys, feel free to ask any questions that you like. So let's talk about uh, your destiny, your fate. So we talked about karma. We talked about the cosmic web, how we're all connected, things like that. Talked about reincarnation. and then the dark night of the soul. And now, fate, fate. What is fate? What does that mean? So, so how I define fate in destiny, a fate is things like you're fated to meet your soulmate, or you're fated to have a uh, certain things are supposed to happen. Destiny is the overall thing. So, for example, my destiny is to become a spiritual teacher. My fate is to write a book or a few books. Um, but my destiny, my overall reaching is to teach and to heal. Um, so for your fate, so for your destiny, like I said, and it kind of goes back to your divine will. The interesting thing about your divine will and your fate and your destiny is you don't have to do what you are fated to do. For magicians, or shamans, or witches, we can change anything. Um, Give me just a minute. I'm just trying to look for comments. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Um, so I'm going to answer some of these questions in just a second. I'm going to finish up with your fate and your destiny. So to finish up with that portion of it, your fate, your destiny. So if you were fated to come to this earth to help people and to be a healer, you have a choice to make. You can do it, or you don't have to do it. Um, I think certain things are put in front of us, and we have to decide if we're going to do those things or not. For example, say college. Say you a college is put in front of you, and you decide if you want to go or not. You don't have to. And just because you go against your own fate doesn't mean you're going to be punished. Think of it as a spiritual a GPS. So you know how you're driving, and Siri says, "Take the exit on your right, and if you drive how I drive, I will pass it right up." And then the GPS reevaluates so that it can get you back on track. So it says, oh, okay, you decided you're not going to take that exit. So there's another exit 3 miles down the way. So the universe readjusts. Um, it it readjusts your energy. So if you decide I'm not going to be a healer, I'm going to be a teacher instead, or I'm going to be an architect, or I'm going to be a dancer. So whatever you think you're fated to do, or what we're told to do by society or family and friends, the choice is ours. So you can do whatever you like. How I handle things, or how I try to handle things, is I do if I have a career change or a job change, I'm going to do some research. If I have a goal, like say my goal is to travel and teach, say, I don't know, say heathenism, I don't know. I'm going to see if that's actually conducive to the lifestyle I choose to lead. I'm going to see if it's something I'll be happy with. Um, I've had some spiritual teachers who said, hey, I believe your fate and destiny is to do plank. You're good at plank, so that's what you should do. Um, I'm very hesitant about things like that because yes, uh, I know that teachers can see our strengths and our potential, but at the end of the day, it's up to us. Um, so we have a few more minutes left. I'm going to answer some of these questions here. Mark has asked, and I apologize. I was talking and I didn't see the questions go, so I'm gonna try to answer them right now. So Mark asks, then how do you know if someone is bad versus someone who just disagrees with you, and how do you not know that they are just not having a bad moment versus being a bad person? Um, Use your intuition if you can. I know it's hard sometimes, especially if we're in the heat of an argument. I always tell people if I don't like your energy, you're probably not a good person. And I always say this over and over again. When I read someone's energy, I'm always correct 100%. I'm never wrong. However, when you're in the heat of an argument, and that's hard to tell. And sometimes people say dumb things. I think we should give I think we should try to give people the benefit of the doubt. Just because someone says something really dumb and mean doesn't mean they're a bad person. So, um, how I teach all the massage therapists when I'm teaching a massage class is you don't know someone's path all the time, and you don't know where someone has been before until they got to you. So maybe can that person you were having an argument with, maybe they are in a bad time. Maybe they're having a whole lot of stress. Maybe they're going through a divorce. Maybe they lost their job, and so they are having feelings, and you just happen to catch them at a bad time. I'd hope that the people I meet, and just because I'm prattling on about something I'm angry about, I hope they don't think I'm a bad person because I'm arguing with them, you know. Um, but at the end of the day, it's your intuition. Just trust it. And 9 times out of 10, whenever you say, my intuition says he's not a good person, trust that. However, I like to say, allow people to change, allow people to grow. There's a saying that I hate is when people say, oh, people don't change. Well, they change if they choose to change. I know I've changed every 3 years for the last my whole life. You know, sometimes we do goofy things, sometimes we don't do goofy things. Sometimes we're on top of our game, sometimes we're struggling. And I hope that we all have compassion. Um, uh, uh, Becky has a comment, and she says, making yourself vulnerable is so difficult. Absolutely. It's one of my least favorite things to be vulnerable with people. About being vulnerable, about that, I think you have to have clear boundaries with yourself and other people. Um, I know a lot of times that when we get in arguments, or if we're trying to be heard. When someone crosses a boundary, for sometimes it triggers us. Sometimes we get upset, and they're like, "Oh God, I hate when they do that." Again, I think it's important to have compassion, and in going back to the whole energy thing, the universal energy. Um, I don't think that karma, I don't think that the universal energies gives us the okay to be mean to each other or cruel. Like, for example, you could say, oh, the reason I got into an argument with so and so was because it was my karma to learn something. That may be true. Maybe it is your karma to learn something, but it doesn't mean we have to be mean to each other and disrespectful. Um, at the end of the day, we're doing the best we can. We're trying. We're trying. And the universal energies, it's to help us. So if we understand our karma, it's better to, if we understand that our karma is the universe trying to teach us, then when a bad thing happens or something that I hate happens, it's easier to say, hey, it's a learning situation. Um, don't get trapped. These are the things I tell myself. Don't get trapped on that bad thing that happened because it's only trying to teach me to be better. And we have to remember we're all connected. So the more you show compassion, the more you show kindness, is that you're putting it out there. You're putting it out there, and you're healing the environment. You're healing each other, and it's only going to spiral. Now, that doesn't mean if I put in good energy out into the world, I get a reward and I get something back. I do good things. I do healings because it's the correct thing to do. Um, Before we wrap up, were there any other questions or um, any insights about anything at all? Um, so Amy says, I felt that one didn't. I feel that when difficult people are put in our path is because either we need to learn something or they need to learn from us. Absolutely, 100%. Yeah, that's it. Um, I will say this to us. Um, all you guys who are on this class tonight, you're on the path of healing. You're on the path of spirituality. You're on the path of growing and evolving and becoming better. So what happens is that when you're a good spiritual person, um, or you're trying to be better, and it's okay to fail. Don't forget, um, you're going to have a bright aura. You're going to have a bright energy, and people are going to gravitate towards you. Yes, you're going to meet other spiritual people who are like, wow, I love your energy. But what happens is, and I've had this happen to myself. I've had this happen to colleagues and dear friends. We also attract uh, people who need healing. And sometimes that's good. So sometimes I attract people like, oh, Chris, you're a massage therapist, or you do energy. I'm healing. I would like a session. Great. That's awesome. However, sometimes you attract people who don't know that they need healing and they're hurtful, or they steal from us, or they take advantage of us, or they're just mean, you know. Um, and the reason that we attract those people, moths to a flame, we're bright, our energy is bright, our aura is bright, and people are attracted to us like a moth to a flame. And you have to be discerning, and you have to have good boundaries. And now that I think about it, if I ever have if if I ever have a second edition to this book, I'm going to have a section on boundaries. Because just because you're a healer, just because you're a good person, just because you want to help doesn't mean you have to put up with a bunch of crap. Um, I'm a firm believer of explain your boundaries gently if you can. Sometimes for some people, they're stubborn and you have to explain your boundaries more firmly. um, but try your best not to allow someone to take advantage. And I know that's hard, especially if it's, say, family or a friend or whatever. But there are people who are going to be attracted to us because we have a strong spirit. So I don't want you guys, if you're ever in that situation, and I think we've all been there, bad people are not attracted to you because you have bad energy. Bad people are attracted to you because you have good energy. How do you handle it? Boundaries. Be very clear. There are some people who I try to help and I give them one or two chances and then that's it. I'm done. And it doesn't mean that if they get their act together, if they evolve and grow and become better and become good people, I won't be friends with them. Absolutely, I'll be friends with them. But you have to evaluate. Is this person, am I helping them? Are they, are they taking the things that um, I'm trying to show them, I'm trying to give them and incorporating that into their life? If they're not, then maybe someone else can help them, or maybe it's time to terminate the relationship and things like that. Okay, well, it's oh, there are more questions that I did not see. This is great. So let me read these. Becky says that thank you for reminding me of being on the path of healing. Absolutely. Well, we're all on the path of healing, and my primary goal is to heal. So everything I do from massage to teaching to this class is to help heal people and so that they can find the healing within themselves. And as a healer, uh, uh, being on the healing path, give yourself permission to make mistakes. Give yourself permission to screw up. And if you hurt someone on accident, apologize, fix it, try to make it better, try to make it right. I will, and I'll be the first to say that if you're a healer or just trying to help, you don't even have to be a healer per se, but just trying to help, you're going to make mistakes and give yourself permission to make mistakes so that you can learn to be better. I'm just going to scroll down here and look. Mercedes says, "How do you set boundaries gently? I tend to be blunt." Well, I'm a Gemini with an Aries moon, so I'm blunt as hell. However, take an energetic pulse. Read the room. If this is a person who needs you to be blunt, then be blunt. I always tell people I don't take hints. I don't know how. That's not how my brain is. You have to say, "Hey, Chris, just so you know, A, B, and C," and I'm fine. It doesn't hurt my feelings. I'm so good. I appreciate people's honesty. So, how do you set boundaries gently? If it for me, and say someone was like, say, grabbing me inappropriately, and it depends. If it was a friend, and say, "Hey, that's kind of weird. I'm not comfortable with that." So blah blah blah. If it's someone I don't know, I'm a little bit more firm. "Hey, no, you know, that's not okay." Um, when you gently let people go your boundaries, you're just telling them. It's like, "Hey, by the way, just so you know," because the thing that it took me a while to understand, every every person and every culture has a different way of doing things. So how I grew up in Houston, so how we do things in Texas is not how they did things in Chicago, and you have to learn that. So what I think is everyday normal can be completely different to someone else, and so it's okay. And you should say, "Hey, here's some information for you, just so you know." And and if a person's really, I think there's a big difference between someone who made a faux pas and someone who's trying to hurt you, or someone who's trying to um, get something from you and things like that. Um, let's see. I'm just going to scroll down here a little bit. Um, and then Becky says, I tend for not to have up the right boundaries. I think that's a judgment that each of us has to have on our own, because we're all different people with all different backgrounds, with different experiences. And I think that I think we need to make sure that try to explain yourself the best you can. And I'm all for giving people a second chance, but you also have to be clear. If something hurts you or if something bothers you, you have to say it, because I've seen friendships end because someone didn't want to hurt the other one's feelings, which I found odd. So you're going to never speak to this person again because you didn't want to have confrontation, and that's okay. Some people just make a decision like, hey, I feel that our karma is over. I feel like um, our 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 spiritual connection is better if we aren't friends. I mean, and how do you say that? I mean, that's a hard thing to say. I have said that before, but it's not the most fun thing to say. Um, but at the end of the day, just like I said before, do your best. Try your best. Walk the path of a spiritual person, of a healer, of a pagan, of a magician, shaman, whatever. Um, do your best, and allow yourself to make mistakes. But when bad things happen, I keep putting them in quotes because they're things that are trying to teach us. So when bad things happen, it's trying to teach us. We're trying to get better, and I know it's hard to see it when it's happening, but try to see it after it's over. Like, okay, wow, that sucked. That bad situation, that job, that divorce, that breakup, or whatever was horrible. I got through it. I hated it. I hated every second of it. Now that I'm in a better place, now that I can think straight again, what was that trying to teach me? How have I grown? How am I different? Or did I take a step? Uh, did I take a few steps backward? Um, was I obnoxious? Was I rude? Did I hurt someone? Did I say something to hurt for someone? Was I self-destructive? And even in those things, there's a learning lesson there, you know. Okay, so if there's no more questions, oh wait, there's more. There is more. Um, uh, so Elliot is asking if we could send some prayers, if we can send some energy, because he has to. He says he has to be in the hospital, so I'm happy to send some prayers and some good energy for you that you find some happiness, some balance, and some good healing energy. I wouldn't do that tonight. Absolutely. I encourage everybody who sees this video to also add some prayers. Um, and it looks like that is all the questions right now. Thank you everyone for coming. I appreciate everyone's support. Um, Again, part of the reason I wanted to do this free video was because you guys have been so good and so supportive, and I really appreciate it. And I can't thank enough. You guys are great. Thank you so much. And if you haven't already gotten the book, please, please, please go on Amazon and get my new book. It's called Upperworld: Shamanism and the Magic of the Celestial Realm. It's also available on Kindle. And yes, of course, I got to plug the book a little bit. I plan to do some more of these classes. These are free classes in the future. If you have some suggestions, please email me and let me know, or you can leave any comments in the chat. And you guys have an awesome evening. Blessings, and I look forward to seeing you all soon. Thank you.